But I don't.
And I did not know they were gonna do this.
Yeah, kick her out.
And they said, we want to take it. I'm in my uniform.
Wow, 2,000 other.
I didn't know.
Yeah, okay. Who did that? Because he doesn't want, never want.
My mother,
He always, he wants me like.
made some.
Okay.
He doesn't really-
Oh,
Yeah, no, yeah.
And I was meeting today and it was.
Okay, we did that, Gary.
His practice. You know, his practice, when they were.
Okay.
That clock, yes.
Yeah.
If you haven't taken out.
You know. How are you, Mayor?
I'm in a heat guy.
We're ready to go. Good evening and welcome to the World Park Summit Council meeting, September the 6th, 2023. In attendance, we have Mr. Beston.
Here.
Ms. Simmer is absent this evening. Solicitor Hayes. Present. Mr. Mitchell.
Here.
Mayor Kelly.
Here.
Ms. Kehoe. Here. Mr. Jenkins.
Here.
Mr. Shields.
Here.
And Chief Young.
Here.
We'll stand for a moment of meditation. And we will have the mayor lead us in the. Oh, Hunter isn't here this evening, though, right?
No. You ready? You okay? I pledge allegiance to the flag.
Thank you. First item we have on our agenda. I apologize, I didn't see Connor here.
He's not here. That was my mistake. That was from last month's agenda and I swear I cut it out, but I obviously didn't save my change.
Okay. That's no problem. So we'll just cancel that out, Virginia. The first item on our agenda is the approval of our agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
On the question, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Favors have it. Is it 4? Yeah.
It's 5, because we got Dave.
Oh, Dave too. Excuse me, I forgot that. 5-0, thank you. Next item is the approval of our minutes. They're not available.
Not yet.
The next one is our public comment. And we thank anybody for being here tonight and whoever would like to address the council, we certainly welcome them. Dory, would you like to take the podium first?
I would, and I have a few things, but I'll
Thank you.
try to be quick.
So
First off and foremost, our brochures are ready for the fall semester. So you know I materialize when that happens, and I give everybody a nice brochure to read. Rough getting this together. We had it's a while, but we have 45 classes.
wow.
We have a concert coffee house with Bill Carter, a jazz coffee house. That should be good. So that's first and foremost. Our brochures are. Hope you'll spread the word or take a class yourself. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about just briefly is the food pantry, which is very hard to keep in stock. It's been difficult. So we're readjusting and now we put a sign up saying it's going to be stocked up Thursday.
Oh,
It was stocked last Friday evening, and Saturday morning it was empty. So we have said that the police asked them to lock the door itself, 11 o'clock at night.
We don't have a key to that door.
Oh, just that door. I thought you
The door
were keeping it open for
on the
us.
outside.
Yeah, I don't know. I can use
You
one.
don't have to lock it, but we
Okay.
thought we were keeping it open for us and we were gonna say.
Oh, no, it's always been open 24/7 so they can get access to the police
Well, then
station.
that's
The
okay.
elevators were usually locked.
Oh, okay. Well, then keep it
Well,
open.
sometimes, let me call it.
So Dory, why is the pantry like having less quantities of food? Is it-
I think there's so much need in the community. Right now, as far as I know, we're the only food pantry in this area. I don't think Dalton's open right now. That's what I've been told. I didn't go over and check for myself. And we are an open door food pantry, so we call it shame free. You know, a lot of the other food pantries, you have to sign forms, you have to walk down the hall of shame or whatever, and you have to, ours, you pull up and you take food. Our concern was we didn't want it being abused by anybody that was hoarding the food. So we've asked to look at the video camera, just to, we didn't look, I've asked. Nicole.
We have a couple homeless people in town that would use that.
Right, I think that one woman's gone, but I don't,
No, she's
not gone.
sorry.
Which is sad. I mean, the other day it was pouring rain, and I was thinking about her. But you know, we're happy to do this, but it's getting more difficult. So we are gonna stock it on Thursday. If it's empty by Wednesday, it's empty by Wednesday. We have churches bringing food. Tomorrow the Rotary is gonna be. So keep it in mind. If you're walking by, drop something off, crackers, peanut butter, you know, whatever. Apparently, there's a huge need. So speaking of the homeless person. And first of all, I wanted to thank you for letting us build the raised bed, handicapped accessible beds in the pocket park. They came out really good. I don't know if anybody's had a chance to see them, but they look really good. But the other part, now I brought a lovely picture of some of our sunflowers
Oh, yeah.
that are growing in the
Wow.
park. It's also a young lady with special needs. She's in a wheelchair there. See those, but,
Yeah.
so that's why we built the raised bed. So we're very proud. We got a grant from PNC to do that. But anyway, I'm gonna pass these around. Oh, sorry. Hey, Ken, there you go.
Dory, I'm Dave.
I know, as soon as I said Ken, I know Ken's his brother. This is not good. Yes. Oh, yeah. This is what's at the pocket park. A pile of garbage. I've been told that there might be people who live on Depot Street who are using it for their personal home garbage. But it also hasn't been emptied in a couple weeks.
Is this inside the fence?
It is inside the fence.
That's the problem.
We didn't put it in there. Somebody else did. So
I don't know who did. I mean, it's screen can to begin with.
oh, it is. You're right. I
Yeah.
didn't even notice that.
Yeah, and I don't know who would have put it in there because the trash haulers don't know to check inside the fence.
So what can we do? I can't lift that up now. It's full.
No, I'll get the DPW to empty it
Okay.
now, but
Thank you.
we're gonna have to move it outside.
I spoke with Rotary. Who here's on Rotary? Raise your hand. Okay. About building a garbage can. There hasn't been one there. There's a flower thing, square, but I'd like a garbage can in front of the park. And I think that would help solve problems. Are they in the process of building those garbage cans now? Okay. So that was awful. I mean, we're working so hard to make it look good. So I just wanted to bring that up. And last but not least, I have mentioned this to Josh and also to Virginia. We have pretty high electric bills downstairs. I'm sure you do up here too. I would like to try to find a way to get a grant to put solar panels. I don't know if Josh agrees with this, but I would like to find a way to put solar panels on the roof. I spoke with somebody about grants. He did mention a few possibilities. The Department of Environmental Protection has some grant money. He gave me a couple of different options. I don't know if I can send them to you, Virginia. And he also gave me a recommendation for a grant writer. I would like to work in partnership with the borough. Sure. So we could offset our electric bills and your electric bills. I guess Virginia had said, and I'm sure it's true, first and foremost, we're going to have to make sure the roof can support.
Right. We have to have the roof inspected to make sure it's structurally sound. I had called a couple solar places to ask them to come in and give us a, take a look. somebody actually came and was up there. but
Oh, I didn't
never
know
got
that.
back to me.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, no, I had somebody up there, never got back to me.
That's the way it is with everything.
I know. I think they're very busy right now.
Well, if we can get a grant and no money, this is your concern, Josh, no money comes from all your taxpayer base. And then you save that money in your electric bills. I think it'd be a win-win. And since it's an environmentally friendly endeavor, I would think there's got to be a lot of grant money out there. We have them at my home, and we have a very large home that we use completely electric, I'm not our heat, but everything else. And every month we get $100 check from the electric company, and we pay no electric. So,
Wow,
I mean, that's our dryer, our stove, our pump,
that's just from solar.
just from solar. Yeah. So, and when I called somebody who does grants for nonprofits, this Kurt, he said to me, now's the time, find out about it, he said, because there's money right now for this. Would Reinvest, would that be a grant that you would be working against yourself, Virginia, on?
No, if that's through the county, we
Yeah.
don't have any applications with the county right now.
Okay, so maybe, because I did go on and look at their, I'll just give you what I
Yeah.
printed out.
I could be wrong, but don't they max out at 25,000, and how much would be?
Oh, it's even less than that, I think,
Oh,
that they
okay.
max out at, but at least it might be money towards it, right?
Yeah.
Would we,
It could at least be one source.
and this is the other place, that I pulled it.
He would be the most likely. source for
You would
this,
know
yeah.
better, way better than me,
Yeah,
but I just want, I would like to get the ball rolling on this, because we're
Yeah.
so high.
Do you have any idea how much solar panels would cost?
I don't off the top of my head.
And
But
for
if
the
we
shop?
get the grants, some money towards them, and if we partner on it, I know these grants, they like when you partner. You're both in the same building, you partner, you get more grants, and both are electric. Right, so that's my spiel.
And we can talk to our state representative on this too, Bridget, I think would be helpful to, if there's any grants for solar.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's just something, so I won't take up any more time, I'm sure there's other people who want
Oh.
to speak.
No, thank you, Joy.
You're welcome, thank you.
And we have someone else, would you like to take the podium, please?
Thank you. Good evening, my name is Chuck Copley. My wife and I moved into your community about a year ago. Got a great spot, but I'm here to encourage you to protect the fabric of our community. It's a beautiful community. We have an area that's in disrepair as far as garbage and refuge out on the lawn in front of the property. The owner has 2 small children, 4 dogs, 2 cats. And it's an eyesore, and it's going to take down the neighborhood. Now, I've been in your shoes. I was planning commissioner for 25 years in Waverly. We've lived in Hilton Head. We know you can write ordinances and regulations that will protect your community. I'm here to encourage you to do it quickly. Your solicitor should be able to find language that works. I'm sure the police chief has been over looking at your car. It's been there since 2016, unregistered and uninspected. Got to get rid of that stuff. Come on. Let's get it going. And that's my thing.
This is on Meadow.
What's the address, the location for assessing?
605.
Meadow.
Meadow, yeah.
You said it. You've probably heard about it before,
I've seen it.
but they will do nothing.
I
And
have-
go before the magistrate. They're voters, you're not.
Yeah.
So maybe if the magistrate doesn't do anything, maybe I'll take it to another level.
It's a safety issue.
It's absolutely
That's
safe.
true.
We have
Big
rodents.
Can't even get out the front door.
Our dog
There's ever a
finds it.
fire.
I've been by it several times. I'm definitely aware of it.
Our dog finds it a target-rich environment for it.
Yeah, yeah.
But you let a spot like that start then another across the street is starting. No raise, come on, let's put some teeth in it.
Chuck and I were talking about it and quality of life. I sent them a letter. I sent them a certified letter. I cited them. The first citation was $25. A week later, I went back and cited them. Second citation, $50. A week later, I went back, cited them a third citation, $100. So now they owe us $175. But if they don't pay, they have 30 days to pay. So right now they've been cited, and I'll go back again every Friday. I'm going now to take pictures of this place and document it. But I can't pursue it with the magistrate because our quality of life ordinance says they have 30 days to respond to the ticket.
But
Once
it's
the 30 days comes, they haven't paid,
Then we can file a citation. And then, and this is why I know Chuck is concerned, because that process has taken weeks to get where we are right now. We'd still have at least 2 more weeks before we hit that 30-day mark to file with the magistrate. And then we would probably be a good month or so out before the magistrate had the hearing scheduled. So meanwhile, the situation
It's
that he started
deteriorating.
complaining about in July.
It's become worse
Oh,
since
it-
Ms. Cahill has got involved.
and it is. Every week I go there and the pile is moving out further and further into the yard. It's.
Can't you just tow the car out?
And if it's,
There's no legal way I can do that.
if it's not.
I can't own private property unless it's part involved in crime. You know, crime is transport.
Can a towing company do it?
Well.
Hire somebody. I mean,
I don't think they're gonna do it without some, get worried about getting sued. You're gonna have to, you know.
Right.
Mr.
I
Copeland.
mean, you can find a towing company that wants to raise their hand and say, I'll do that.
Mentioned
Plus they wanna get paid for
there's
that.
rodents there, so I mean, that's.
Yeah. Yes, we've actually hired an exterminator to keep them on their side.
You live next door to this property or close to it?
Yes.
In our garage.
I think it's $300 a quarter I'm paying.
I mean, I understand, you know, so what you're doing is we're citing them and they're paying the fines or.
No, they haven't paid yet.
But it's, they have 30 days.
And
to
then-
correct.
30 days to pay or appeal.
I mean, can we look at any sort of condemnation type of
That's what I was
situation?
gonna say. Do we have-
I can't imagine what the inside looks like, but you don't have a right to go in.
Obviously, that's somebody's property. We don't want to, you know, they have a right to own their property, but they also have a responsibility to fix it up and maintain. it.
Exactly, that's why.
So
Now,
if they can't do that, then maybe.
we have a greater concern than this that I presented to you, and that is fire. You couldn't get out of there, and the kids are this big. If something happens, it's over. They're gone.
A match on that porch.
We cited it too, don't car ordinance. You know.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one. It's
All you can do is cite.
There's a car. and stuff.
And
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
It's
two
magistrate,
parts.
say,
This one-
okay,
this
clean
one
it
is
up,
referring to
just
the-
raise the money.
Yeah.
that's
And this is
what-
where
yeah.
they construct it.
I've had things go to the magistrate, and they're not on your side.
This is
believe me.
kind of higher than it was the
Well,
week
this
before.
this is the hand I'm dealt, you know? And I said, I don't know if you're gonna go and company with the raise your hands up like that.
We'll mention the other
They're
house.
concerned about this house
outside.
house. You got
Yeah.
a legal.
I haven't gotten
reason
to
to
the
do
other.
that.
213.
It's a tough situation. It's a single mother, 2 kids, 4 dogs,
That's just grab.
and I think she has other issues.
And there is.
I'm sure she does.
Madam President, I think quality of
Maybe, you
life,
know, the bank.
we have to put a little more teeth into the fines.
There's another one.
Oh, yeah.
on,
And it
City
might have to
Hall.
be rewritten, maybe 30 days.
That's what
too
I
long,
Mention that.
that time.
On
So,
the corner of.
I'm sorry, can we find a way we can upgrade it to the meter when it goes to the level, we keep going?
I think there's a couple of things at play. I think what you're describing,
no, that's all right.
might be beyond what we generally even contemplate with quality of life, because there's certain things that we should have a mechanism to trigger an inspection. Unless, do they own that home or do they rent it?
They own it.
They are.
yeah,
Right.
It's easier to do that when it's not owner occupied, where then for purposes of ensuring that, you know, housing in Clark Summit is safe, that it kind of would allow the borough to go in and inspect. Do you have any safety concerns with these children?
Yes.
Yes, he does
I
that.
I recommend that you
Yeah.
contact
Higher.
Childline.
Yeah,
as.
child's life.
What's called Childline, which is actually a phone number that you would call to indicate that you're observing something that's giving you concern about the safety of the children, because that's just another avenue. Something that's beyond exactly what the borough would do, but would relate, it would allow entry into the home. And then that could kind of trigger other
Right,
things.
but once we get entry to the home, we could take action on it. We cannot,
Just go
we
in.
can't go into the home without their invitation unless we have probable cause. So I've asked the police, the fire company, and the DPW to all, if there's a reason why they have to be in that house for any reason, if document what's going on inside, and that would give us the cause that we need then to pursue it. But I can't make me let.
I think all you can do as council is come up with ordinances that can
Right, it's just get.
prohibit this from reoccurring in your
Yeah.
community. It goes to the fabric of your community.
Well, isn't there a department? Welfare for children?
There is.
Children and youth.
Yeah, the children.
So what
Child
I'll do, I'll
protective
connect with
personnel.
Virginia on this issue, and we'll email, if Virginia has your email, and I could provide that information to you and what we'd recommend in terms of just another, I haven't personally observed it, but if you have, then you could make a call and express your concerns. And that's, and I'm not saying that's an answer to the issue, but that's just one thing that could be tried if
One
it hasn't
understood.
already.
Do you have email?
Mhm.
Okay, do you want to give me your email address?
It's N as in November, 2195 S as in Sierra at AOL.com. And you sent me a number of emails.
Huh?
You've sent me a number of emails.
Oh, okay.
You got me.
Maybe,
And
I
you can
didn't
also
remember,
let me know
sorry.
When we get to the point where if the fine has not been paid and it's going to move to the magistrate, then we'll certainly make you aware of that because you would be.
But I plead to you to step up your
one thing,
ordinances.
I mean, can we look at like the zoning ordinance, if there is any sort of language in for condemnation, or do we have anything like that?
We were able to do it in Waverly.
Okay.
We had our special citizens that required extra attention. And we were able to encourage them. We did not allow a car that was unregistered on private property. Period. It's gone.
I didn't think, Chief, are they allowed to have a vehicle unregistered,
Nope.
unlicensed?
But what can we do about it?
Excited. I just said the.
And that's it.
Yeah.
We
It's
don't
just-
have-
It's a summary offense. So I like underage drinking or disorderly
Right.
conduct, it's an ordinance, but it's a summary offense. You file a citation and send it to the magistrates.
Oh, so you did send it to the magistrates already?
And it's
And-
different if
and-
it's in front of the house versus actually in the yard in terms of your ability
If
to
it's-
tow
You
it.
can see it.
Oh, yeah.
If it's
yeah.
on the street versus in the
It's
yard.
not registered, but I ran a tag, it's registered, it was registered, this is 2019
Yeah.
expired. So it's, fits the junk car ordinance, but it's a summary offense and. I was just saying a minute ago, I mean, maybe we can find a way, I don't know how this works, I'm not good with these ordinances as far as crimes goes concerned. Can you make it a misdemeanor after amount of times been cited? You can up it, but usually you have to be found guilty first, kind of like, we count that, move it up grade every time.
But then it.
But, because you have to be proven guilty. The problem is, I don't know if they're to respond to the citation. We have an officer and he was just out over the last few days, he saw tonight, and in fact, out and on doors for people who don't pay their tickets, the traffic tickets and stuff like. But there's really no teeth because county's not gonna send anybody to jail for these kind of things.
I know.
So then you're stuck, like, if they're not going to jail, they're not paying the fine. Is this judgment of sorts against the person? And there's no, it's not a misdemeanor, so because they're not gonna go to jail over it, they just aren't. So I don't know what the answer is, because, you say tow the car, but it doesn't provide that in the ordinance for us to tow the car.
Right, yeah.
This says it's item. There's no like saying.
And towers the one to tow because.
You're right, and we
I was
use
talking
that over the
to,
post office, they won't feel.
Jerry
Post
Buzz's
office, they don't want to deal with
stepson.
that. We can't.
Oh, and then they person, sued the tow
Thank you.
damage.
I
I
promise
hope you
you,
don't see me again.
I promise you, we're taking it seriously.
You
We
might see
will
me
keep
again.
working
I'm
on it.
interested.
There are some, I see sometimes.
Well, you know what, we-
Rare.
Yeah, I have Chuck's email now. I will make a point of letting you know what's happening.
Yes.
Yeah, I will talk to the other option for condemnation that I know about is going through the building inspector. And I don't know, there's nothing structurally.
Yeah, this, I think it's Scranton had adopted the code. But
Right.
but you don't think there's anything structurally, but.
I don't know that there's
But if there's
anything.
rats.
I'm gonna ask them to to go by it.
And you
We have
can,
a
and you
third
can
party
get,
that we use for TIC.
Huh?
We use NEIC. or-
We use BIU. We use both, but normally Joe from BIU is really easy to work
and the
with.
district justice can allow the code enforcement officer entry on the property. You can see the warrant. Search for them.
Excuse me, did this gentleman say the address for that was 605 Meadow Lane?
Sir.
Is that what I heard?
Yes.
Yeah. And we
Well,
are,
he's probably getting a view because I think it's 401 Haven Lane is the viewpoint for the whole area there for the development. And I'm sure he probably sees that. So that's where this guy gets around saying, you know, if he can do it down the road, why can't I do it in my yard?
that's exactly the problem.
We've got to act on 401 Haven Lane and do something about that, because that's now a detriment to the whole community there. And I've been saying that since God only knows when. And now the people over on Carnation have got the same issue going on over there by Artie's house with that guy up the street from him. So if we don't start to act on this, we're going to become a junk community.
It's a beautiful area, just beautiful.
And it hurts the resale value. And understand that we're very friendly with the people. I cut her lawn because nobody
I've
else will.
offered 2 times to do the porch with her. 2 times.
And her kids come in our house and get popsicles. I mean, it's not an adversary.
Right.
I'm more for the community, that this is a rotten apple and it can ruin the whole barrel.
The safety scares me with 2 small babies,
Yeah.
3 and 1.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but we've had several of these conversations all summer, and you were already considering or drafting some revisions to our quality of life.
Right, no, that's
ordinance.
something that's been discussed and something that's necessary is to increase the fines and try to
Good.
motivate. Whether or not in this particular case would that
That's good.
make a difference, I don't know, but it's something that we think would. be
I don't think
helpful.
the fine means anything. They won't even answer the door. I don't think the police got a
The police
response.
were there the other day.
I talked.
Was it you?
He came on.
Yeah,
I don't think he read their mail, their mail's all piled up.
I know. But I saw you there.
And I don't think fines are the answer. I think action is the answer, and you're walking a fine line. I understand that. We walked a fine line in Waverly and check our ordinance, I guess.
And what
You have a little bit more latitude sometimes than what boroughs do. Townships on some accords have a little bit more leeway. The boroughs have to go by the borough code. Townships can make sometimes their own rules, and they oversee or override sometimes what the boroughs are allowed to do.
But I think what you're describing is beyond even some of the other things that we've heard, so I want to explore if there's, like we had spoken about, if there's something that might go beyond quality of life, and so. But it will be our conversation the next couple of days, and we'll definitely. get
Well,
back to
again,
it.
thank you for your time, and you got your work cut out. for you, I know.
Thank you, Mr. Pope.
We appreciate
Now,
you.
you were elected to fix all this, right?
It is.
Thank you for your comments. They're very helpful.
You're very welcome.
But I don't know.
And would you like to address, Artie, did you want to address council?
No, I wanted to start coming to this. And I talked to the chief and police some time ago about a big problem with vandalism, breaking my windows in the station. And you're replacing them, but they're very expensive. Right. So Jen came up with a good idea. She said, put wood in there. Right. But I did not want to just put plywood. I had someone paint the whole front of the station white, so it looks nice. It's continuing to paint it. And then, my carport was messy and, now it's not. So, I need to, pay my fine. My carport was messy,
Yeah,
so.
but I did get your letter, thank you.
Yeah, I got used to them. But someone said some time ago that one person was constantly complaining about my place. So I thought maybe that person would be here today. And I mean, it needed fixing, but I fixed it. But there's a lot of places on this street that need fixing and aren't getting fixed. And I don't know if the person complains, do they have to give their name or not?
To be honest, if they call in with a complaint, if they don't identify themselves, it's hard for us to.
We
Well, I
can
don't
ignore a
want-
complaint if they don't give their
I don't want
name.
to identify myself. When we were in business over 50 years, we were customer service, never charged for air, we would put the air in the car. Bill and Tom did the same thing.
Right.
The day they closed, that, someone went in there and the man lied. He said the compressor was broke, that's not true. But now you have to pay. Now Sheets doesn't charge, Butler's didn't charge, I didn't charge. I don't feel as though he's an asset to the community. Also, he will not clean or do anything. He has weeds this high and he has a toilet out in Plainville. I don't think that's a good thing for people to see.
Is he a neighbor of yours now, Ward, or?
No,
He's talking about the Butler's gas station.
the man that bought that
Well,
station. And he will,
No, I know, he's, the toilet and the weeds, he's referring to Butler Station, what was Butler Station. And there is, if you actually go, because I drove past there today to check it out. If you are looking at the garage, the far right corner of the building, there's an old toilet that they took out of the building and it's sitting there. I was looking at it today and thinking, yeah, it's something I don't want to see, but I don't know how I could, there's not a safety issue there. It's just on a truck. No, and even the weeds are high, but they're sparse within.
well,
So
here's the problem with that man. He will not do anything. When he walks from his office out to pump the gas, he goes by a weed that high. All he'd have to do is pull it. He won't.
That guy runs it, he's not.
No,
Well, he lives in New York City with his wife, she's a cop, but,
well,
yeah. I don't-
but he's the one I see there all the time. So it's not.
You're relative. You're relative.
But the thing is, and even in the bays, I painted so you can't see my bays, but his bays, he hasn't touched it, but was left. He has all this time on his hands and he's gonna put he can't put a convenience store in there. Those bays are a mess. It looks like the Naples junkyard. And he has all this time on his hand, but probably they don't wanna rent a dumpster. They're cheap, I guess. But my feeling is they're not an asset, they're a detriment. And this is just, I don't know, I guess it's hard to believe there's no ordinance to have a toilet on. If someone used it, then it would become a health tip. There was, what's that department? That has to do with health, the government.
Right.
Someone's gonna use it. Why is he put that out there? I think is because he doesn't want people to use the restroom. What happens is, like, over the years, once in a while, our water shut off. I said, I'm sorry, the restroom's out of order. And the person did not believe me. Well, he's gonna say, they're gonna say, I don't believe me. He said, well, there's the toilet.
Yeah,
But why can't that toilet be in the restroom or in the garage?
well, that we don't know.
But there's nothing we can do about it.
I don't know of any language that applies to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And-
was
and
trying to get
overboard.
creative today. I stopped and I'm looking at it and I'm looking at it and I'm thinking. It's really unattractive, but it's not unsafe. And we don't know, I mean,
Well,
It's still there.
Is there a government, is there a government agency that has something to do with if someone used that and raw waste would come out of that toilet? Is there a government agency about
But
that?
that's one of the things, if, the word if, and it hasn't happened yet. Right? I don't know if there's.
So they don't, so a government agency doesn't regulate or care that he's got that toilet there.
No.
Nobody cares.
no.
To me,
The
first
problem,
of all, why is it there? Second of all, why does he throw a tarp over it?
No.
He doesn't want people to use the restroom. He probably doesn't want to pay for the water, and he doesn't want to clean. He cleans nothing. And out on the pumps, on a gas station, underneath, is called an island. They are all rusty and a mess. It's not that big a deal. I have to do mine now. You have to keep doing it. So I don't know.
We'll check it out and see.
Yeah, we'll move on.
Yeah, we're gonna move on.
Move on.
But thanks for bringing it forward. Okay, who is someone else would like to? Freddie, did you wanna? Okay, the next item on our agenda is a police report.
Well, what are the police reports there? We had one of our part-timers resign, who accepted a full-time job, decided to leave. So we lost, someone, but I feel like I need to Stephen today, because I have another officer that came to me this morning, that works in South African Park,
Right.
and he doesn't work anywhere else. And we like to work here, part-time as well. So I would have given this earlier mention, but I just got this. And so I emailed everybody, his application. So, what I
I have
like,
a copy here if somebody needs to.
Right.
He doesn't work for music. I thought he worked make to.
no, I didn't work, he's resigning from the mobile. But, what I like to do is, entertain an idea that we can get permission. We can interview with the personnel committee, can interview
Right.
with council and the mayor and I, like we normally do. And if it's acceptable to the committee, I'd like to go ahead and hire him if the committee agrees to that.
So council would need to give a conditional,
Absolutely.
a vote, a conditional hire
I
based
don't want
on.
to wait a month, I'm afraid to go find another job.
Exactly.
So
Yeah,
we'll need a
I think
submission.
that should do that because
There's no other
I
applicant
don't
to
think
do.
it's a motion.
She does, Virginia.
Yeah, we need a motion
Okay.
to hire this person contingent on clean, going through the, background check and, that he passes the
Or he
interview.
disappears.
His name is Officer Brown or
And Matthew Brown.
Yeah,
Matthew Brown.
great. Okay,
I'll motion that we hire part-time officer Matthew Brown under the contingency that he passes the background check and a thorough interview with the personnel committee.
perfect.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
On the question, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Papers have it.
Chris, you got it.
Gary, and we're trying to get together as soon as we can, set up some type of meeting so we can get this thing going.
Oh, yeah,
All right?
definitely.
Yeah, tomorrow.
We have no bids or quotes.
Nope.
So, our borough's treasurer report.
Actually, Chief, you were mentioning something about ATVs and stuff like that.
Oh, we were having a problem, we're having a problem with, sending an email. An ATV that's been coming through town here. And it's not just ATV, it's also another dirt bike, dirt bike. And
Yeah.
their kids, and they're driving through town and we give chase, and then they run through the yards and neighborhoods and behind houses and so forth that we can't drive the police car through. And they're young and I'm afraid to engage them too much, so have something happen. So we actually just tonight, before I came upstairs, we have an idea who the green dirt bike is, and they're going over and talking to his parents tonight. So hopefully that will stop its regret. The quad, I'm sure they're somehow related, but they're driving by in front of cars and they would stop and ask us to come out and catch them. Waving to us. We have them on camera, the watchman camera, it's recorded the whole thing. I don't know if you realize that, but we recorded, so we plan on showing parents that we're doing that. They're doing right now at 611 right here, they were doing it right in front of Coast Tire at night. And just, we couldn't, the guy chased them, but then that kind of risky.
We have like an ordinance, so like not allowing.
Well, they're 15 years old,
Oh, I
and
understand.
it's a motorcycle, and they don't have a license, and they'll not registered, it's quad. Quads are illegal to have on the roadway unless you're crossing the cross the road, but you can't go down there.
Right.
Can we try to contact the guardians, or we don't even know who the.
They don't know, the bicycle we found out tonight, we believe it, hopefully we'll have that squared away tonight, the one kid that we believe it is only 15, so.
Okay.
So, just if you see it around, you know about it, and it's just talk, yes, But also South Africa, we were doing it down there.
With the same kids.
Yeah, down by the Ramada, we were doing it down there by or Meadows.
Well, I don't know what it is.
You wanted to change it.
I don't remember years. I go to Strasbourg to visit friends. And there's cars racing. Racing on that highway going down to Strasbourg. I don't remember that before, but I have a friend that's a truck driver. He says sometimes all day long. I guess the kids today, they're not afraid.
I don't know if you were maybe saying anything about Midway or not.
Oh, I had that, I was gonna bring it up at the end under correspondence. But if you wanna cut, no, you might as well. I got an email, it came in this afternoon, so I didn't get it. Did I send it to, I think I might have sent it to you guys, but
The situation over Midway
it was
is,
last minute.
if you ever go to Atherton Street, and then you'll see, they'll park near Atherton Street.
Right.
First of all, the signs are not posted right, because it's gotta be 30 feet from the stop sign and not 30 feet. Says no parking here at the corner, it's about 5 feet away. I mean, that doesn't, it's maybe more like 10 feet, but it doesn't apply to that. But I was looking at that street today, and the odd number houses, they don't have, in most parts, most people don't have off-street parking, driveways.
Right.
But on the other side, they do. So I was thinking, I don't know what would be the problem if we just put no parking on one side, and that might, because the road's narrow, when they parked on both sides,
Exactly.
and you only get one car through it.
Right.
It's a problem plowing in the winter too, but it's gonna be a hassle because these residents, there are houses that don't have driveways. So there are people that are dependent upon parking on the street.
But my thought was, the even side, in most part, all those people have driveways. I went over it today,
Right.
but the other side, no. So, and the other problem with that street, there's no way to pull off the edge of the roadway, because there's a drop off right away. I mean, there's
Yeah.
a hill, a bankment on the other side, so you can't, you're just parked on the roadway, not like off the road a little bit. So there's no shoulder, basically, I'm saying.
Yeah.
Have we had complaints about that at all, or?
Over the years, off and on, it's a hit and miss. Somebody wrote a letter today,
Yeah.
and I've noticed that myself. And but I think if you just make one side of the street, no park on the other side, you can park. That might help some.
For us to consider doing that, it would have to be by ordinance, so we have to decide if we want Mary Claire to start working on that.
But the fortunate thing is people that live there, they can park in front of their house then.
Right, well, they can park on either side of the street, if it's not, if you allow one
You're only
side of the
gonna
street,
Have to be
one side of the
apartments.
street, one side no parking, and you'd have to park. But the houses that what I was saying earlier is that even side numbers, number houses, they have, in most part, driveways. And
Right.
places to pull off and go in their driveway. It's the other side that seems to me that doesn't have them.
But
And
if they're not
so
using
I
the
would
driveway-
rather have the parking available for those people in front of their houses. My thought was. And then if you leave the other side open. Yes, I agree that sometimes you may just want to park in front of your house anyway, even though you have a driveway, but.
Exactly, you're right.
You might, maybe they could park across the street or something. But
Yeah,
there's streets, you know, in Borough and Haven Lane and some of those streets, you don't park at all. You know,
yeah.
no.
I don't know, personally, I think maybe we table this until we get. Yeah, this is a tough situation, because if we write that ordinance,
Oh, yeah.
the people on that side, and I don't know who lives there, I don't know ages, but it's going to be hard on them.
It literally just came in at
Right,
lunchtime
yeah.
today.
Yeah.
So I would be more than happy to respond back to the resident that we appreciate, we're looking into it, and it will
Okay.
become a discussion at our work session.
Yeah, yeah.
Meanwhile, everybody can take a drive down that
Yeah.
stretch of road. and
Yeah,
eat
yeah,
bacon.
it's just something we'll have to look at. We don't wanna make a bad situation with a whole bunch of people.
Yeah.
knowing, where do I put my car in the snow?
Oh, exactly.
You know, so it's, I think we can just take a look at it at the work session. Maybe we can address it.
Chief Garn, before you go, just two quick questions. One, I think you were talking about a grant, like maybe a month or two ago regarding police cars. You need like a resolution for that?
It's in tonight's
On the
packet.
agenda, on the next page. Yeah, I
Okay.
believe, right, it's on the agenda tonight.
Okay, and then the other thing, I guess, is I think there was a traffic study done on Lansdowne, and I think they're gonna, do you have any opinion on that, one way or the other?
I have not, I was waiting for the Bakery's firm to, there's a woman that's an engineer, she was supposed to get back to us, I haven't heard.
You did. I'm sorry, I didn't share it, to share it with you. She said, she recommended that we stick left turns off of Lansdowne onto State Street between the hours of 3 and 6.
Yeah.
We also, Mary Claire and I were communicating today and double checking because it's a private road, not the state road. I mean, it's our road, not the state road. We don't need PennDOT to be involved in this.
Right.
And we can do it, and we're on notice now, so we kind of
Have to move forward.
have to move forward. We have an engineer saying we need it.
3 to 6, you think that would be sufficient?
I think that will help, you know, where the traffic between 3 and 6 will go up and then turn left, but we already discussed that, but also it's crazy over there.
It is.
That's when most of the accidents are happening.
Exactly.
It's mostly because their cars are going towards Nicholson and back the way, coming back to Scranton from work, and then kind of back up on the roadway, so then they leave a gap and they'll like someone to come out, and someone would be in the left lane, and next thing you know.
Exactly, yeah, yeah.
I think you.
So.
We don't have an ordinance yet. Mary Claire is going to give us an update today, tonight on where we're at with that.
Perfect.
But I think you can let Chris go now.
Oh.
Sprung. You're sprung. You're at it.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Chief.
Yep, thank you.
Next item on our agenda is our vendor payments to be ratified.
No, treasurer's report first.
Oh, excuse me. Treasurer's report. there's a motion to approve that.
Motion that we approve the treasurer's report, Frank will second. It's like we're really
Thank you,
married.
Frank. On the question, all in favor? Favors have it 6-0. Next is vendor payments to be ratified.
I'll make a motion that we pay the bills.
Thank you, Josh. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Frank. On the question, all in favor?
I
Approved. Favors have it 6-0. Under old business. The sewer report for August.
Jen is back.
Yeah,
She is already working on her, following up on shut-offs and stuff that, you know, we really haven't dealt with while she's been gone. But we've been keeping the billing going and keeping all the getting all the payments posted. So now we can be proactive instead of just reactive. It's wonderful.
exactly, yeah.
How she feel?
She is doing what she said. She felt so bad in the spring that she could only feel better right now. And she's
Yeah.
feeling really good, but they said it's a full year to totally heal from that kind of surgery. And she is limited, you know, but she survived the full 8 hours yesterday and today. She's doing good.
Oh, my gosh,
Yeah.
I was here today, she looks great, she's
Yeah,
back in the saddle.
yeah.
Good enough. Okay, thank you, Virginia. And the update on our trash conversion. To hire the part-timers, anything of that.
Yeah, I guess can we speak with Sarah a little? Is she okay with the increase or,
Yeah, she's fine with that.
and she'll forego an automatic increase 2023?
Exactly, yeah. So. Everything looks like it's lined up exactly the way we have already had a meeting on it, so. When Nicole is on board with it, Sarah's on board with it, Virginia, so.
If everyone, you know, if you just make a motion, just need authorization to hire them. We've already discussed the rate for Sarah, and Nicole is
Right.
under DPW contract, non-uniform union contract. So the rate is irrelevant. It's already dictated.
Right.
And then we need to motion to hire them and effective when.
I'll make the motion.
What?
Early.
Oh,
Effective,
Is it, are we hiring or are we just increasing hours?
well,
We're gonna increase.
increase hours to,
Yeah.
to give them this,
Sure.
So it's
this,
gonna
we're
be 10 hours. of
moving them
PO.
into this
Response.
function as
Right.
well, yeah.
Virginia, I think that question, you tell us, because you're the one who has to train.
You wanna,
Are they ready?
do you have the specificity there? So I mean,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
so
Well,
let's do the
I-
names and let's do the hours and how much the rates. are.
I do know, I have, yeah,
You know, you have like, give me a little cheat sheet there, which is pretty
Yeah.
good.
the hourly contract for Nicole, or the hourly payment for Nicole based on the DPW, the non-uniform union contract would bring her at full-time up to $18.27 per hour. Sarah, with the $2 an hour increase, would go up to $17.91 an hour. So they're within about 30 cents of each other.
right.
Representative of Nicole being here longer, so it actually seems
So
good.
Nicole will be made full-time and pursuant to the contract, she would receive benefits in her salary.
Correct. Nicole would be moving to full-time.
Sarah would stay part-time, but it'd be 30 hours a week and then new salary of which
And the
is.
nice thing is with Sarah, it can be as needed, you know, like what I was going to suggest is that we start this effective Monday, if it's okay with you guys, but
Okay.
I truly don't think we're going to have a huge increase in Sarah's hours right away. Once she's got to set up the company on QuickBooks, and then there's a lot of data entry, which Nicole can do. So then we need to get a letter out to our residents and we need to talk specifics. But that has to be done first. So I'd like to get that rolling as soon as possible.
And also, could this be included in our sewer bill? Instead of just doing a special.
I really would prefer not to. Because Jen is gonna be dealing with both of them if it's included in the sewer bill. We're gonna have the issues, and we actually talked about this with Clark Screen. They have an issue because they have it on their sewer bill, and then in the office, people drop off a payment for $50, and what do you do with it? You know, it's 52 for the sewer, and it's so much for trash. How do you handle this partial payment? You know, there's just, they've got to get, the money has to go into two totally separate funds,
Okay.
not even just the same, totally different, it's different funds.
So it's a processing nightmare.
It would be, and phone calls. I really need to have a separate phone number for Nicole and Sarah to work with, as
Right.
opposed to Jen on the trash. And if it's on the same bill, it's not gonna be, so I really.
No, I didn't mean on the same bill. I meant it would be separate, but I mean, just to notify the people that what we're going to be doing, that's.
It's a different, it's not the same group of people. There are gonna be businesses and large apartments that are not affected by this. And, you know, that's the other decision that we need to make. I was driving around and I found, like, Steve Young has some businesses and apartments upstairs, and I do not see any trash cans out. So they obviously have a dumpster. On the other hand, you go past, you know, some other rentals where there's maybe 8 units, and like, for example, down on Depot Street,
Right.
the last one, I can't think of his name, Frank. Anyway, yeah, that's all put out of the curb. So we need to decide, like, that should not be picked up by us. That's too large. He should provide a dumpster. And honestly, if we started billing him for each unit, he'd probably be more cost effective to have a dumpster. On the other hand, if there's only 2 units or 3 units, where's that line? So we've got to talk about that, but I want to pinpoint the accounts
Right, yeah.
first. That's why I want to get rolling on this.
And your price tag yet?
No, until we get defined who needs to be, who's obligated to be part of this and who's exempt from this, then we can divide it up and and we still have to figure out where the budget is for next year, because we're gonna pay out of the general fund as much as we can, and it's only the difference that we need to bill. So until we have the general fund mastered, and a good clue of where the money's gonna go, then we can figure out how much needs to be billed.
You're gonna get bombarded. You send out letters with all this literature. I think the first thing someone's gonna do, they're gonna cost.
And that's right now, the first
Are you
question
trying
is,
to decide who needs us to pick up the trash versus them having a dumpster?
no,
Just
what
want to
we're,
give her one moment. She was still responding to Art's question about
Yeah.
how she's handling notifying our
Right.
residents about the price
Art,
increase.
we need to send out a letter and qualify who needs pickup and who doesn't need pickup first before we can figure out the amount. And I'll have to put that in there. I know it's going to be handling phone calls. And again, that's why I need to get the crew up and running. But we need that before we can fine tune any numbers. So we don't want to bill a penny more than we have to. So that's.
First of the year?
We're looking at, yeah, I think council was talking about starting the billing in December for January for the first quarter. So we're gonna bill quarterly, I think is where we're standing right now, and we are gonna bill in advance, but just the month before the quarter begins.
So you want to bring these people on and add effective September 11th, Monday? That's what that would think, because
That would
we
be-
don't want to waste any time on this
Right.
because they need to get.
And effective Monday is also a new payroll, so it's perfect timing to transition.
Okay.
You wanna-
Yeah. Can I make a motion here? Can I make a motion to increase the hours of Nicole to 10 hours per week, to make her a full-time employee with benefits subject to the contract, with the borough? And increase, Sarah's hours by 10 hours and increase all her hours, by $2 per an hour. And this would be effective Monday, September 11, 2023.
Do we have a second on that?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you, Frank. On the question, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Favors have it 6-0. Thank you. Under new business, our resolution 2023, the Monroe County Share Grant. Virginia.
Yes, this is the one that we were talking about with Chris. Chris would like to apply for this grant for the purchase of 2 new police vehicles. The application's due by the end of the month. We have to have the resolution in. We don't have accurate pricing on the vehicles yet because they haven't come out with the 2024 pricing. But they did give us a worst case scenario. So, and then I added on top of it just to make sure. So we're talking, so the resolution says an amount not to exceed 140,000 for the 2 vehicles.
Something like matching money funds or anything like that, we don't have to put anything into it or,
No,
okay. I make a
I'll make
motion,
that a motion for the police cars.
I'll second it.
okay.
Okay, on the question, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Favors have it 6-0. Thank you. And the street light on Sheridan.
Okay, I sent a letter to all of the affected parties and I have not gotten a single response.
I have talked to a couple residents there and they don't feel that this is a big issue. They said maybe they could use brighter lights on their condos or whatever, but that they didn't feel that it would be necessary to have a street light there. So
We can table at this time.
I think we could table it.
Yeah, I mean, it's all been a week and I wrote the letter and mailed them out, so if there, some people might not have gotten it yet, so. But yeah, table it would be my suggestion.
Okay. The next item is our MMO.
Yes, all we need, I provided everybody copies of the MMOs that came through. This is the amount of, our minimum municipal obligation for our funding of our pension plans. And I need council to authorize Jerry to sign.
I'll make a motion that Council President Kerry can sign the MMOs on behalf of the.
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you. On the question, all in favor? All opposed?
Excellent.
Our solicitors report.
Sure, I just have a couple of things. At the work session, we had discussed where we were at in terms of the stormwater regionalization. So council had approved the vote to move forward with getting the MOU to review that and see if that's something that we wanted to move forward with.
Right.
Last week, I discussed a couple of suggestions I would have under defining the purpose of the MOU, and then also in terms of our ability to walk away from it. I had a Zoom conference with Lee Stinnett, who's the special counsel out of Camp Hill, who's representing Scranton, but he's been involved in a number of these before. He was very nice to talk to, so willing to work. What was good in our favors, we're the first municipality to even be this far. So we were the first ones to have a discussion about the language being used. So I forwarded him my suggestions based on our discussion last week. And he's gonna look at those and then let me know. We did discuss the process a little more, so just so council knows that assuming that everyone is in agreement when I get it back, that we agree with the language of the MOU and want to sign it, then we would wait for the other municipalities. There's 8 in total to do the same. Then a joint authority would be formed. And every municipality would have the same representation. So whether it was 1, 2, 3 representatives, everyone would have the same. And we would then move to that final step, which would be the intermunicipal agreement. And that's when Mark Spatz was here and explained to us, that's where it's really more of a contractual situation than what we're in now. Lee did say that typically he comes with Mark when he does presentations. He wasn't available the night that Mark came. So if for any reason or at any point council feels it would be helpful, he would be happy to come back. One thing that we did discuss that I don't believe was mentioned was a potential cost, because that's something that we wanted to be specifically mentioned in the MOU. So what he said was he was involved in something along these lines, although it was 31 minutes. Once the point, they reached the point where they had formed the joint authority, DEP felt it important that each municipality demonstrate that they were invested. All of those municipalities were asked to contribute $3,000. That total amount then just rolled into what eventually became the operating expenses of once it was all in place. So he said he knows from speaking with Scranton that their inclination is not to have that, but there is a chance that after the MOU, but before we would sign that agreement, there might be an ask for a contribution from each municipality. But we're not binding ourselves to any payment by signing the MOU, but I just wanted to be council with that because that's something that I did not take away from that initial presentation. So I will circle back with council once I hear back from him. In terms of his feedback on the suggested changes. So that's where we stand with that. And then next, in terms of the no left turn on Lansdowne. So we had discussed this last week because we received the engineer's report. It was specifically recommended by the engineer that we limit the left-hand turn between the hours of 3 to 6. I think it was 8 out of the 11 accidents that occurred during that time. I do think based on that, it would be prudent to follow that advice. As Virginia had indicated earlier, I wasn't sure because only one road was private, if we needed to get PennDOT approval, we would do that to put up that signage. So I could go forward with council's approval and draft that ordinance, which would state what is recommended, that there's no left-hand turn between 3 and 6 p.m. If that's what council would like.
Okay, I would really think that is the direction we should be going with that. So. Yeah.
then I will draft that. and
Okay. Okay, under correspondence, on a recycling this.
We are going to be participating in a tire recycling event on September 30th. Jerry and Kathleen have volunteered to run it. We have reached out to the high school to see if they can get some athletes to come help us. There is a potential problem. There is a football game at 1 o'clock that day.
Yeah.
So, but that doesn't mean that they can't find people to help. And if not, we'll try other things. Boy Scouts was not an acceptable one because of the limitations.
Yeah.
So we'll have to reach out for volunteers to find something. But it's only 3 hours, 12 to 3. So
Right, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a football player from Abington. It
No.
could be any
right,
would want to volunteer.
right. Maybe Eagle Scouts that want to get,
Someone,
yeah.
yes.
So I'll keep
We
working on
definitely
that.
can find
But we are, they're already the county's already working up advertisements to let everyone know that this is going to be taking place. So November, September 30th, you have tires that you need to get rid of. We're gonna have it.
So you bring the tires and put them into the county dumpster.
You're gonna bring them to the borough building and we're gonna have volunteers load them into the DPW trucks. We will bring them to the meeting spot with the county where they're gonna, all the municipalities will bring their tires and put them in tractor trailers.
Do we need to verify residency in order to accept those, or? Because we'll get
We're going through the
people from
county,
everybody.
so I would say no, we never did. They have to pay, you're gonna have to pay, so, you
How
know,
much do you
and
pay per tire?
I don't know this year, last year, I feel like it was like $3 for a clean tire, $10 if it was dirty. You
It
know.
says in here, $4 the entire.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Thank you,
Yeah,
you're ahead of me.
What does it say?
$4.
Between $4 and $10.
$4.
Right.
I eventually, being in my business, wore my back out. But I would volunteer. I was in the tire business 50 years to, I would volunteer if someone needed help
Thank you.
handling or how you throw this or there's certain ways you can handle a tire easier.
Yeah, sure.
than not.
Yeah.
Thank you for the.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that sounds good. Diana.
Well, Diane Kowalik, we're talking about the 200 block of Knapp Road. I did send a letter to those affected residents as well. In fact, I believe Art should have received a letter. I don't know. if
I
you
didn't
got-
get it yet.
Okay.
What is that about a light?
About putting a street light
I
in.
didn't get it.
Okay, what I've heard back so far was one resident wrote back, Donna McHale. And she says, yes, we want the light. We checked with other neighbors and they're all for it. Our road is too busy and too dark. Additionally, council asked a question about what the cost of a street light would be. And I pulled out our bill and it really depends on the wattage, the number of lumens that are put off by the thing. It's between $12.50 to $25, depending upon the size light that would be needed there. I would probably say it's going to be one of the $13, $14 ones, most likely for that. It's not a big state street. It's just
Right.
It would only cost that much to put a light.
per month.
Well, that's what. the
Per
bill
month.
would have.
But don't forget, tell them they're LED lights also.
Yes,
Yeah.
these are LED lights. We would not own them. PP&L will own them. So we're just paying a monthly fee for them.
So whenever pole is closed, I didn't really look at the poles, but I
Right.
did watch, I turned on the street. PP&L will take care of installing the light
Correct.
and
If we
pulling
want,
the maintenance. on it.
if we authorize it, I have a form that I fill out requesting that they add a street light and they'll put it in. It'll probably take a good 6 months. That's what they said the last
Yeah.
time. And they actually did it faster then. But it'll take a few months, but we can do it if you guys are game for it.
And you said how much? $13?
The cost, depending upon the lumens is between 12.5 and $25 a month. This is probably going to be a smaller light, so it's probably going to be $12, $13 as opposed to, you know, one of the $25 lamps, which are really going to be the ones that are along like State Street and stuff.
Something like $160, $150 a year.
Here, yeah, that's.
Well, if the residents on that road feel that it's a safety issue, then I don't think it's a problem having that installed.
What do you think, Artie? You're affected by this. Are you okay with it? Adding a light there?
Yeah, it's dark there. It's dark, it's all right with me.
And the residents aren't upset that it's not bothering anybody sleeping habits.
No, the only response I've gotten.
Most people, yeah. Over on Bedford, where Bedford meets Powell, there's all those lights. And Buzzy Jackson's daughter lived there. I wouldn't want all those lights, but a lot of people want a lot of lights. I think for safety and whatever. So it is darker. And that doesn't seem bad because being in the business I was in many years ago, when I first lit my bulb, it took a lot of light. But then it reduced because there was mercury in it. But that's not a bad price, because when I ran of course, I had a higher electric bill because I was a business,
Right.
but that's not a bad price.
Well, I think we can move forward with that then, Virginia.
Yeah.
Yep, I will do that. Just assuming I don't get another email or call this week.
Sure.
Okay.
And Ms. Susan Grady.
This is the woman that was talking about the pedestrian safety on State Street.
No.
I did a lot of work, research. First thing, what easy fix that will help is, one of the things that the state says is, you know, increase visibility. So, and they recommended fluorescent yellow stripes on either side of the crosswalks, make them more obvious as you're driving down the road. So the DPW are going to take care of that. The next time they paint crosswalks is next spring. So, but they're already aware that they can do it. The next suggestion is that you make sure that the cars are sufficiently far from the crosswalk. And I know that there's probably parking. We'd have to eliminate a couple spaces. For example, the one that's right in front of us is too close to it to, you know, for visibility purposes. So that's something else we can look at, eliminating some parking spaces, and I can go around and get the DPW to measure them out and find out where the safety is, and then make recommendation to remove those parking meters. Then I did look into illuminated, and I'm sorry, I didn't print it out. Illuminated pedestrian crossing signs, ones that are controlled by solar panels. And so, yeah, so they can either flash 24 hours or just, you know, dusk to dawn, whichever we prefer, but it's solar based, and they would flash whenever somebody hits the button. They're approximately $1,500 a piece.
Virginia, is there any way that we can look into signs similar to what the University of Scranton has down there on Mulberry Street? That when the people come up to the crosswalk, they push the button and.
That's what we're talking about.
Oh,
That's
okay.
what we're talking about, pushing the button and the light will start flashing on the sign.
Okay, very good. Okay, thank you.
So that's the cost for that. We talked about seeing if there might be some grant money for that, so I'm gonna look into that as well. The thing that I wanted to mention, Dory, it was funny because she said something about grants, and then I said, we're talking about getting police vehicles. We're about to work on the budget, knowing that we need some DPW heavy equipment that is going to be costly. You know, and then there's just so many things that we need to, that we want to apply for grants for. We're going to be competing with ourselves.
Exactly.
I did find though that In addition to the local share Monroe County that we use, there is a local share statewide account, which works on a different, and the other problem is the local share grant is due September 30th. So we have no time to apply for it this year because we have to have the resolution. But the state one, what's the date? I'm sorry, I thought I had the page open to it. But anyway, it's later this year. I'd have like 2 months to work on it. It's open from September 1st to November 30th. So,
You got a lot of work.
yeah.
It
So
almost looks like you need some help.
where we want to use this, I think finance committee should meet and talk about. And then we'll take it from there, but we can definitely start looking at grants for this or other things. And
So
we
they
can
would be
start-
similar to when you come to the red light. Golden State, you push the button to walk.
This would be in the middle of the block. There would be a
Where
point
you-
where you would push the button and then pedestrian crossing sign would have lights that would flash.
Maybe
You'd get
that would
attention.
help too with some of these people that, what do you call it when they jaywalk, whatever. Maybe that would help. with that
So
one,
just
too.
Grady's saying is that people are trying to get across the street, but cars aren't stopping for them.
Yeah, she said that they're going too fast. There's a lot of traffic issues on State Street, but the biggest thing what she was saying is that the safety for the pedestrians. So in an attempt to try to find better ways, ultimately, we could look at it, at making some of our crossings like the ones in Scranton that have the lights in the street too, but that's a state road. It's gonna cost a bloody fortune. I would definitely want state grant money for that, and I would think, let's put that off a little bit. We've got some other.
I wonder if, I mean, we could put some signs up. I mean, the drivers are supposed to stop for people across. So maybe that's the law. So-
And we do have some, but they say that.
Remember,
Sometimes we have time.
remember.
Those
But some people should not be jaywalking.
So he puts them on the side, but on the side, they're a lot less visible.
University's grant and bridges.
But they're very
Oh.
expensive.
I know I'm guilty of driving by and then realizing, oh shoot, there was somebody standing there and I just didn't realize it in time. So that's why the issue is more working at visibility, making people more aware of the crosswalks and making it easier to see people at them.
Virginia, how much like the ones like we were speaking here about the University of Scranton?
They're very.
Are they
Going
very
through
expensive?
something
Yeah, they're
doing,
very
yeah.
visible. Very well.
Yes, they're very visible, but they're about $1,500 per unit. And you'd need 2 for each crosswalk that you wanted them. So even if you picked 2 major ones, let's say right here across from the, well, maybe at the beginning and the end of the block. So maybe over by Everything Natural and the one that's over at the end of, by the post office.
Yeah.
We could reasonably do that for $6,000. So it wouldn't, something for the finance committee to consider and try to put money aside for.
We'll look into it.
Mhm.
Here's the other thing that you ought to consider too, is what's the price of somebody's life worth?
Right. That's it for me.
Okay. So we had no executive sessions prior, during, or subsequent. Do we have any questions?
Oh, I'm sorry. One last thing. I'm sorry, 2 minutes. LCAB, Lackawanna County Association of Boroughs, their dinner is September 21st. It's $20. You have a choice of chicken parmesan or stuffed pork chop. And I need to have the reservations made by the 15th.
Is it
So
at the Regal?
at the Regal Room.
I'm there. That's.
You're there. Okay. Chicken parm or stuffed pork? Pardon? Okay. Okay. If anybody else, let me know. by the 15th. Okay. Okay, what do you want, chicken parm or stuffed pork chops?
Chicken.
Okay, all right, anybody else, give me a call, let me know, and, we'll take it from there.
Bob, tomorrow night, the Abington Cog, were you gonna go to that?
I think I can make.
If you can get permission, then I'll be glad to.
Motion that we adjourn.
Great. And I will second.
I motion to thank the council.
Thank you very much, Artie. We appreciate it.
I need some signatures before we go anywhere. Yeah.
Luncheon coming up.
Hang on a second, I can't hear you. What?
Yeah.
Friday, the Rotary Club. Yeah. The luncheon.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's just,
That's the 15th, yeah.
that like it's.
Friday.
Next Friday.
It's Friday.
Still space.
You're coming? Great. Would you sign right there?
I will.
Jerry, would you sign
A couple years ago.
right here on the leaf? And then I'll do this other one over here for you.
I told them, that's like, it's right back. She says.